empowerment call for busy executives, heart-centered leaders, causing the change we want to see in the world. You guys know me. My name's Jason Sipple. I'm going to be leading today's morning adventure. D-Rush is flying somewhere high over Florida, probably, heading up to New York City today, so he can lead some busy executives himself. Excited to share with you and guide this conversation. I heard you guys had a big week. David shared with me, you guys have been mapping, sketching, deciding throughout the week of what is the next thing, whether you're innovating, optimizing your current business, creating new businesses, as my man Peter Swain loves to do. The guy pivots faster than anyone I've ever seen. And just wanted to, today, our focus is prototypes. So when I think of prototypes, I was thinking through this all morning when David asked me to lead today. Prototypes is really an indication that first we have to go solve someone's problem. First, there has to be a problem worth solving that other people need our help with, that syncs up and is part of our genius, our unique capability. And so going out and solving someone's problem, the best feedback you're ever going to get is from the clients. Like Peter says, failing in glorious technicolor. So I'm just curious, as you guys have been building, creating the next big vision, the next big thing that's going to interrupt patterns, that's going to solve people's problems, and is going to make things better for those that we serve. What does your prototype look like? What is the first action step that you're going to take to test it? Because a prototype is nothing more than a hypothesis of something that you want to test to see if it's going to be effective or not. So we're going to go into breakout rooms here in a few minutes, but any thoughts from anyone in the crowd that's been here all week? Any exciting developments, prototypes? Sammy, all right. I was hoping that you'd raise your hand. So please come on in.
Yeah, Jason, thank you so much. And thank you for facilitating and leading this morning. It's always great to have you lead. So after Peter Swain's Writers Boot Camp, I learned the structure of the book. And the structure of the book, includes chapters and includes also what is the value that this book is going to create for the reader? What is the purpose? What does your client look like? That sort of thing. All these questions that I really didn't ask before, because I thought, as a beginner writer, that you just start writing. Just start writing and see where it goes. Sort of like the morning pages of Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. Come on, just start writing. And all these other writers who've been writing for years, they just keep writing and writing and writing. And they know they have a structure in their head, so they know how to do it. But what I realized from the boot camp was that we had to create a prototype. Now, can you continue this for me? And then after it did that, we looked at the sample of what it thought we would write like. And we had to say yes or no. So we had to test ChatGPT to test us to create a prototype. And this is an ongoing thing with ChatGPT. It's not just one prototype. The wonderful thing is you could have an infinite number of prototypes. It says as hard as you want to work, the more prototypes it will create for you. And then when I have this, I have my own judgment of what I think something should look like, because I have my own audience, one client, me. But I want others to read this book besides me. I want this to be an international bestseller. So, one of the things that I'm afraid of is to share it with other people, especially other writers I admire. Because I've been, a few years ago, I started writing this book and I stopped because I asked my friends who are writers, I said, would you read this for me? And they said, of course we'd read it for you, of course. And I never sent them the prototype. So that's me.
I appreciate the vulnerable share, and what I hear you saying is that there's many paths to the outcome, and having the outcome in mind, who you're serving, right? And then there's a little bit of getting over ourselves. Like if we're our number one customer, if that's our ego, like if we're not willing to put ourselves out there, there's either fear of failure, fear of, right? It's fear. Fear is stopping us from moving forward, judging ourselves, doing things when we don't know yet. So going out with the prototype, going out and testing the hypothesis, going and seeing what works, like having the conversation with someone. Like we spend more time, I was in a mastermind yesterday where the topic was hunger. Like how hungry are we? How hungry are we to move forward? Like how bad do we want the thing? And the more you test your prototypes, the more you realize, like, wait a minute, I'm busy creating all of this stuff and no one's asked me to do it. No one has specifically said, oh, well, I need this solution to a problem. We just think we know the solution. But when we get out there, we start testing the prototypes, then we have real world feedback. And a lot of times it surprises you. It's like, wait, you needed that? That's simple. I talk about that all day, every day.
Are you okay?
Create a
You
SOP for
okay?
that in a moment, right? So that's why I hear you saying, Sammy. So and by the way, I was listening to Ryan Holiday talking with Tim Ferriss about writers different how they write. Like Ryan gets up and writes in the morning for a couple hours and then works out and does other things. So everyone has a different method. Like Tim writes with the TV on in the background, silent, so it looks like there's people. He's got music playing. So just know, like, as long as you're doing the thing and taking actionable steps every day, like it's not going to be every day won't be great flowing. Just like I'm going to write for this amount of time. This is it. This is my standard. Set your standard and go. So,
Jason, I have a question for you.
yes.
When will the prototype be ready to share?
Your prototype? I don't know. When will the prototype be ready to share?
Or anyone's prototype? Like when will that be ready to share? Because a lot of people, they like to cover up their prototype and say, no, look, it's not ready. It's not finished. It's not perfect.
I think that's a great question to go into the breakout room today. Let's say, share in the room, when is our prototype going to be ready to share? And sooner than later. Don't use Parkinson's law and say, oh, it'll be by the end of the month. Like Sammy
how
long did it take you, Sam? I'm going to call you on this one. How long did it take you to update a LinkedIn profile?
Oh, yeah. That's years.
I mean,
years.
When we look at things, that was one of the best lessons I had last year. I was worried about making this call to this person, doing this, following up with this, following up with that. And when I talk to someone, it's like, Sip, what the F are you doing? That's 5 minutes, that's 10 minutes, that's 15 minutes. And he was right. It took me 30 minutes to clear a list of everything I was worried about. Yesterday during the call, I was talking about the hunger call. I reached out to a lot of people that I've been having imaginary conversations with and said, hey, let's put time on the books. Let's have that conversation because that's my rocks. Like I know what I do every day serves at the highest level and it helps people and I have the results. But going and taking it to the next level is going and having conversations with people who lead groups, have similar hearts. And it's like, I have my fear, like, oh my God, this person's getting interviewed and has millions of followers and XYZ. Like, why would they take the time to have a conversation around founding fathers and helping free families from slavery, financial slavery, right? So I appreciate that call.